Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to wNS9 Plus. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Jim, we got Tyler, and a special guest, we have Jason Mackey. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What are you wearing?
This?
Yeah. What is that?
What just happened?
It's a new year, new me, 2024. I decided I'm tired of shopping the same place. I was going to go to a whole new section of the store. So,
man, here we go.
I love it.
Here we go.
What do you guys think?
No, that's
Very
good.
nice.
That's good. I like that section. It's better than your old section.
Think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks a little bit cheap to me.
I'm not going to tell you the price. I got a really good bargain on it.
Yeah, kind of like Marco Gonzalez.
What'd you have to trade for
This
that?
is Marco. It's nice and
That's
shiny.
Marco.
Yeah, there's Marco. But for real, what's up, Jason? How you doing?
I'm doing great. You got the section of the store pull out of there. I enjoy that. I like the outfit. It's all good. Hat named Marco. I'm doing well. It's been a perfectly sane off season, right?
Oh yeah,
Always is.
Yeah, everybody's happy. Things are good.
Yep.
big announcement
I'll
for
say
Pirates
this.
Fest today. Everything went smoothly there. Everyone's happy and excited.
Did DiNardo just have a good bit?
Like seriously, the first time ever. Yeah.
Very nice.
He actually got a smile out of me. That's never happened.
I actually fell
Nice.
for it too. I'm like, oh man, what do you mean?
Yeah. At first, I was like,
part
"What's
of the store? Like, really? Your shot New Year's is that consequential?" I'm like, oh wait, okay, all right,
He's like, wait a minute, this sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
yeah.
That was good. That was good. I'll give you some props for that. Your first one, like Cody said, first good bit.
Yes.
Now,
I'm
to be
happy.
fair, I am charged with talking about this team and its intentions a lot. I can't say that every word, every sentence, every bit of not bit of information, but like every answer I give isn't a gem. But that one has sure stuck around. And it's also tough because you do hear things and they talk about things and want to do things and lead you to believe that they're going to do certain things. And I know the Pirates fan base is not going to be shocked by this. It doesn't always come to fruition. So I don't know. I mean, I do look at a comment like that and see some of the stuff they've done, and they have brought in different types of free agents. Like whether you agree with what they did last offseason or not, they were more active in free agency. They were not less active in free agent. They didn't make great signings. They became over adherent to certain players that I know that people dislike. I don't think they're done for this offseason. But we do try to, whether it's me or Alex or Gorman or anybody else on the beat, I mean, you're trying to get a read on what they're doing as best you can. They're not super free with information. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm just saying that we try our best and sometimes it doesn't always land, I guess.
Yeah, well, that one definitely hung around. It's been a year and a week now for the
Sure.
anniversary of that comment.
Sure.
And I think that's where a lot of people get, I won't say confused, but like they say, they hammer you for it, right? You're basically only relaying the vibe you're getting, stuff you're getting, but it comes down to you. And I'll say this, it made sense, and especially it was a year ago. You saw the direction they were going. Last year, and Tyler, we were just talking about this, before the show, just how this offseason compares to last. And it's like last year, the moves weren't super exciting. They were kind of bare minimum, but they happened. Like they were in the correct direction. And you really got a vibe like, okay, this coming offseason, I could see that happening. Now, they haven't given me anything they haven't proven that those words will come true.
Right.
But they're saying it. Maybe that's going to happen. And now we're entering this offseason. And like we're talking about, Tyler, like this feels worse than last offseason.
Right. It does. And I mean, just one real example, and this isn't really going to screw anybody because it didn't happen, but like one conversation I had late in the regular season was about first base. And so I'm trying to get some intel on what they're doing, what they're thinking. And I kind of said like Carlos Santana would seem to make a lot of sense to me. Is that somebody that, you think you guys would be considering bringing back? And, like one of the responses I got was, I think we might be, shooting higher than Carlos Santana. And so like, I'm supposed to take that and do what with it? Like, it's somebody that that's a belief. That's a hope. I don't think the Pirates at that time sort of thought the market for Santana would be what it was, or, he comes out, there's like a $7.5–8 million comp associated with his name or whatever. And I'm guessing that they probably just didn't want to go there. But, at the time, given the information in front of you, you're trying to give the best answer possible. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of got to wear it, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, I'd argue that maybe Martin Perez is a little bit of a, different part of the store shopping piece. Again, I don't think they're done. Like, I don't think it's going to be a sure shopping piece, but if you make a trade, like 3 prospects bundled into one starting pitcher, who's like an actual 2 or 3, if they do that, like, I would argue that's something different than they've done in quite some time. I'm not saying that like everything is going to be great, but I'm just explaining a little bit behind, maybe why I say some of the stuff I do, or, why I put like, and I'll look in the mirror, I'll own it, that was probably too strong verbiage in my opinion, like the hindsight and getting sort of more of a read on what they've done or how they've actually behaved, or being around this team for longer. You try to not be boring. And sometimes maybe you go over the line a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like you mentioned, at the time, it made sense, right? Like you look at the way this rebuild has been going, and you saw what they did for 2023, and it was like, okay, this is at least different from what 2021 and 2022 was. Like, we're not going into the season with just a completely inept roster. So you see that happening, and then you also see, payroll still really, really low.
Yeah.
Your full quote there was, they'll take the pennies they've pinched and use them in 2024, right?
Yep.
I guess that just we haven't seen that quite yet,
or at all.
Or at all. I think people kind of get excited and say, well, 2024 is the year that we're gonna finally go for it.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of had that same mindset, like just the way that the prospects all came up last year. It was kind of just time, like it's now time to go for it.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen it yet, which is frustrating. I guess, you talked with Ben Cherington a little bit, and Travis Williams down in Nashville. They mentioned, payroll being potentially higher this season. Do you want to expand upon that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I asked Cherington, and I'm trying to remember the context surrounding it, but, basically, do you expect payroll to go up? He said, yes, he did. Didn't say by how much. To the first comment, though, not to like belabor the store thing, but another input in my brain saying that was Cherington literally saying those same words. I mean, maybe in a little different way. I remember it was I think it was 2020 Grapefruit League Media Day at Atlanta's spring training park, and talked about, about your payroll and what's going to happen, like, as you guys build. And, he's saying, like, we hope to increase the payroll and spend more, and stuff we don't spend now will be used later, blah, blah, blah. Like, in not those, in outside of that metaphor, like something similar was said. I didn't just like pluck that from thin air. So anyway, that was part of it. I wanted to get that out there, but in Nashville, they talked about the payroll. I don't know if Williams addressed that. I mean, we've kind of not asked Travis all that much about payroll stuff, and Ben is never terribly expansive on it. But I mean, right now, if they're going to exceed last year's payroll, the last projection I saw was something like 65 million. So we're at least like, you got to figure they're going to pick up 7 million, 8 million somewhere. And I would hope that you don't make a comment like that and go over it by like $1. It's not the Price is Right. Like, there's no reason this team shouldn't be able to spend 75 million. And I guess just the last little wrench, and this is part of the payroll discussion too, is the TV deal and how much they've lost in that. Like, I don't think it's an insignificant amount of money that they're no longer getting. Now, does that excuse frugal spending or terrible spending? It shouldn't. I hope not. But I would be lying if we said that like there wasn't going to be some sort of tangible impact here, given the millions of dollars that they've lost with, AT&T getting out of the business.
Yeah. Just to kind of clear up there. So last year payroll was 72.4 million. This is all according to to our friend of the show, Ethan. 72.4 million this year. Current projection sits at 57. Is that right? 57.
I thought I saw 64 or
7?
65.
Perez.
That can't
I
be.
don't
You know
think
what?
Perez is in there.
That doesn't include Perez.
Okay.
So with
All right.
Perez in there,
Yeah.
it's 65-ish. Yeah. Which, speaking of Perez,
Yeah, perfectly
Yeah,
normal.
69.6
what's
right now.
you know, here you go, Ethan chiming in. He's listening. 69.6 million. Thanks, Ethan.
There he is.
So speaking of Perez, I saw some questions today. Like, what's going on there? Like this came out over 2 weeks ago. I
Yep.
know it was the holidays, so like you've got to get him in, you've got to get a physical done, you got to get all that stuff done. But it's been 2 weeks. Is there a potential hiccup here, or is it just the timing of it just hasn't lined up?
I don't think so. And I'm going off of like after that happened, I was told that like we don't expect to get this done for some time. Like just the logistics of like getting him in, getting a physical and all that stuff. Like I don't know the specifics of like if he had stuff planned, if it's hard for him to get in here, if he had prior commitments. I don't know what. I'm sure the holidays had something to do with it, but I know like 2 days after he signed, a day after he signed, something like that. I was trying to get some intel on like when they might be going through and announcing it or whatever, but they said they did not expect it for some time. So I understand that. Some time has also passed. I think it was December 18th that broke.
Yeah, like it's been at least 2 weeks.
It's been a while. Yeah,
Right.
That should.
So-
I fully expected that. Like this week, today, tomorrow, ASAP.
Yeah.
So we can put our fears aside. There's no like falling in the showers trying to save kids incidents that.
I've heard no such rumblings. No.
All right.
What about, can people get Martin Perez autograph at Pirates
No.
Fest? this weekend? You know?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think he's gonna be there. He's not on the list of players who's gonna be there. Maybe he still shows up. I don't know. It's all subject to change, but
Maybe that's what they do. They make up for the whole ticket debacle thing today, and they say,
boy.
you know what, everybody, you get a
here's
Martin
a Martin
Perez
Perez
autograph. Yeah.
Oh man, and you
It's
know
the
what? Like that'll
giveaway.
be in Michael Perez or something, or like a different Martin. I can't think of a Martin.
Just-
last name,
We'll
but
just
I'm sure
cross
there's
out
another.
the first name.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
just it
bobblehead.
says M Perez. Michael
Yeah.
Perez
Yeah.
signed a bunch of
Yeah.
baseballs, and they're giving them out as like, wait a second, he's not going to
We-
wear number 5.
We gotta have some bobbleheads stocked up by now.
Yeah, they all get a Jung Ho Gung bobblehead. Oh,
You can come to firework night.
yeah.
Well,
People
I
were
still
fired
have
up,
that.
man. They were fired up about their autographs.
I still have that Oliver Perez, Mike Gonzalez dual bobblehead. They might have some extras of those and could make it a
That's-
Martin Perez,
you
Marco
go.
Gonzalez bobblehead. Yeah.
Man, I like it.
I actually did want to ask real quick, how much, just from what you've gathered so far, did the Indy and Oviedo injury hurt the free agent market for the Pirates? Because at this point, we just haven't heard anything.
What do you mean hurt the free agent market for the Pirates? Like slowed them
Maybe
from
what
doing
they're
anything?
going, maybe just slowed them down a touch, where they're not going after what they might have beforehand, where they're shopping in a different side of the island.
Oh no.
Yeah. So are you
Damn
meaning like
score again.
hey, like these two things put a
Yeah,
damper
like,
in their plans?
We're
so
gonna
they're
go to
backing
the
off of it?
clearance aisle instead of the good side.
I really don't think it did.
You don't? Okay.
No, I don't. I mean, like, it stinks not having Andy, but it does seem like they're pivoting to convincing themselves that Henry Davis can catch. And maybe he can. I don't know. None of us have seen him in a major league game for any more than an inning at a time. So maybe it works out. I don't know. But I mean, it hasn't. I don't think because Andy's hurt, they like don't want to spend money. With Oviedo, if he was healthy, honestly, I think maybe they wind up with 2 pitchers instead of, I think they're going to get 3. Like that's would probably go the opposite direction.
But with that said, do they get 2 better quality pitchers? Like, are they now
Yeah,
saying we need 3,
maybe.
so let's spread this out amongst the 3 of them?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the third deal is. And I know I keep talking about this, but I do believe I've been told enough that like they feel like trade is the way to improve their starting rotation. If you're going to trade for somebody, you're not going to trade for a 1-year rental bum older guy. Like theoretically, you should be bundling prospects for somebody with years of club control. I don't think they're going to, go do a Chris Archer thing again. But I mean, they should be able to get somebody who's halfway decent given what they have to peddle. And so, I would hope that guy offers more than Martin Perez and Marco Gonzalez. Maybe he's a young right-hander with some stuff and projectability and that sort of deal. I'm starting to get a little worried, though. I'm not going to lie. We're sitting here a couple days before Pirates Fest. Like, what are you doing? You would think you would want to get this deal done before Pirates Fest. You'd think you'd want to get it done, period. It just doesn't make sense either to hoard some of the talent or some of the stuff that they have. Like, think about the guys they have at second base. Like, is that all going to work? And it's not like you're going to.
No.
Yeah.
I guess, do you think at this point, and this just popped in my head, do you think maybe they're waiting on the free agent market to shake out to go after those trade targets of what's maybe one of those leftover guys, like maybe an AJ Burnett type of deal? I know it's been brought up on Twitter before.
Yeah.
But just maybe something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be gained for them for waiting longer in free agency. I think I say this a lot, but I think there's you need to think about the player side too. And the Pirates, no shock to anybody, not exactly a destination city. They've got to get the right person who wants to come in here and put up with what they're going to have to put up with and be here and be part of something. And, if a guy is, Jordan Montgomery is going to have other options, obviously. If a guy's worth his salt, he's going to have other options and isn't necessarily going to sign with the Pirates. And, I don't think the Pirates want this signing to be somebody who's just desperate for a job. So you're kind of trying to thread a needle. So, I mean, yeah, I think the free agent market, letting it play out, has a little bit to do with it. I think they have things they can do, certainly. I just think it's time that they need to act on them. I think their fan base is getting a little upset. At the end of the day, you are an entertainment entity. You need to give reasons for your fans to be excited, and they haven't really done much of that this offseason.
You mentioned a couple things there. One, what you keep hearing is trade, right? Like, we want to improve the team via trade.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also mentioned obviously Pittsburgh not a destination spot.
Yeah.
Is that almost why they're leaning more towards the trade, is because it's easier to just trade someone and make them play for you as opposed to kind of luring someone to you? Like, what's kind of your feelings there?
Yeah, I just think the free agent prices are more than they want to pay. Look at some of the deals these guys are getting.
Like Manaea. Manaea was like 18 million, or 16 million. Yeah.
Montas and Severino and
Montas,
Flaherty and whatever. Like, there's a lot of, overpaying, frankly. If I've learned anything about this Pirates regime, it's that they are not afraid to be stubborn, not afraid to wait, not afraid to disregard public sentiment. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But that's fine.
It depends.
I'm not defending it. I'm just sort of describing
I get you.
the ways they do business. Like, they want to be purposeful with every single penny they spend. Sometimes, a lot of times, to a fault. So I think that's why we're here. They don't want to overextend themselves in any way. And I think for guys like that, to get somebody like that, you have to overextend a little bit. You have to take a chance. And, they'd rather sort of wait it out and wind up with a Marco Gonzalez falling in their lap than they would being aggressive and pursuing a Frankie Montas. And, I kind of don't like that. Like, I was hoping it would be a mix of the two. But, I also don't think operating that way means you have to stink. Like, there are deals they can make, hopefully, you would think, that make them better.
Now, another thing you did mention, they're probably looking for another bat. And I guess just to ask you, since you're on the show, this was blown up on Twitter last week a little bit as well.
Okay.
But they're looking for another bat. Maybe we could talk about that. But more specifically as well, like, a name that was brought up was Adam Frazier. So with you here, have you personally heard anything about this potential Adam Frazier reunion with the Pirates?
That surprised me. I have not heard anything about Frazier coming back to the Pirates. I'll just put that out there. I have not really jumped in on any of the Frazier stuff because I've not heard it. That doesn't mean it's untrue. There's a lot of people in the organization. A lot of people could find stuff out, and I'm not. I really don't like crushing other people's reporting, but that doesn't make sense to me. I'll say that. Like, you need another bat. I mean, I guess, where are you going to put it? To me, bringing in Frazier, and I liked Adam, but I feel like you're delaying what you need to learn at second base, and I'm not sure why. Like, I would rather play Liover Peguero, Nick Gonzalez, G1 Bay, et al., Jared Triolo, and find out what the heck I have. At least I know those guys are going to be around. Frazier is going to be one and done, and you're going to pay $5 million for him to be one and done and take reps away from young guys. Like, I don't get that.
You just earned another click on your articles.
I guess you agree.
Oh yeah.
I just, and again, it's nothing personal against Adam Frazier. I like Adam Frazier, but dude, I mean, if we're gonna try to figure out anything about this team, don't you want to know, like, if any of those guys are any good, and where the heck else are you going to play them? Like, you're going to play Hayes, you're going to play Cruz, you're going to platoon Joe and Tellez, you're going to play Jack, you're going to play Reynolds. I don't know what they're going to do in right field, but that's really not applicable here. If anything, man, I'd like to see Bay in center and bump Jack over. If I'm going to play Bay, he has more value to me in center field. I'd like to see what Peguero and Gonzalez have if one of them's not traded, but assuming they're still there, like, did they stink? Are they any good? I frankly don't know that. And I just, to me, bringing in Frazier, what was his OPS last year? It was like 622 something. It was not great.
It wasn't good.
That's not another bat.
For the most part, he hasn't been good in his entire career. He's been league average at tops.
Now you watch your mouth.
I'm sorry. I love the guy. We love the guy. He
can
was
hit.
fun.
Tyler.
But it doesn't make sense based on the personnel they have.
It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
He's
No,
not
I
good.
agree with that.
Like,
Also,
I'm all
the
for
only
them
reason it
spending
made
money,
sense to
spending on
me-
pitching.
Well, that part. Well, I think you could accomplish two things, but that's just me. But I guess, like, to me, it made sense only if maybe, like, you're talking about this trade. Like, if there was a trade approaching maybe, and it involved maybe a couple of second basemen, middle infielders, I'll put it that way. And that's where it's like, okay, so you bring him in for some depth and such. But, like, without a trade on probably multiple middle infielders, like, I'm with you. This makes absolutely zero sense to me.
Yep. If you need if they make a trade and, like, let's say Gonzalez and Peguero, that's a weird thing to, like, do. But if those two and, like, a lower level prospect are going to get you a decent starting pitcher, I would do it. And then if you have to sign Frazier to, like, cover that spot or add some certainty, totally. But based on the way they're currently constituted, I just don't get it.
Right. I think that makes sense. If you're going to trade maybe 2 of 3 between Gonzalez, Peguero, and Bay, if you're going to trade 2 of those guys, then go and sign Adam Frazier to a 1-year deal. Right. But yeah, otherwise, I just don't see where he fits. Like, it's just a weird fit right now. Yeah. I'd rather, if you're going to get a bat, go out there and get a center fielder so you can then move Sawinski to right, or find a lefty corner bat so you're not rolling with, Palacios, as your everyday right fielder.
Yeah. What do you guys think is going to happen in right field? Platoon?
I mean, I think as of right now, it's probably a Palacios Olivares platoon.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't
I wonder how much Henry Davis is actually going to catch, because I do see a scenario where Jason DeLay and Sanchez both are your catchers, and Henry Davis is more of that third guy. And maybe Henry Davis gets another run out there in right field, because I just can't see them going into next year thinking he's going to catch over 100 games.
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see them maybe Davis goes to right against lefties or something. I do think, though, you need to get Olivares' bat in the lineup against lefties, like, at a minimum, because he's really good at it. So you got to find a spot for him. You're going to play Kutch, obviously, against lefties if he's healthy. They just kind of have a lot of guys right now who don't have a position. It's a weirdly constructed team at the moment.
Yes.
And it was last year. All of last year was weird, and it's still weird.
Yes, very much so.
Like,
I
it's
don't
a weird
understand.
team. Yeah.
Henry Davis couldn't catch last year. And that's not my words. That's their actions, right? Like they would not catch him.
Well, right.
And all of a sudden we're to believe that he's going to be like one of their two primary catchers and maybe catch like 81 games alongside Jason DeLay, who's never been a starting catcher. That doesn't add up.
But don't you kind of see, like, going back to the whole ND and Oviedo thing, like nothing adds up. Like everything just feels like they're hedging their bets. Like, listen, we don't feel we are really that good enough. So we're going to put 1 foot in, but keep this 1 foot back. Like we don't want to fully invest in this year because it seems like why?
I don't even know if it's 1 foot in. I think they took a foot out.
They dipped their pinky toe into the pool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the weird thing. Like if covering the team, I don't want to say anything here that's going to get me in trouble, but like, it does seem like there's different schools of thought on how close they are. Like if you talk to certain people, it feels like, 2024 is maybe not the year quite they want to go for it. And then if you talk to other people, it's like, yeah, we need to be competitive. We need to win games. I mean, it's been a long time, that we need to go. We need to make moves. And I don't know which one's ultimately going to win out, but I think that results in what we're seeing in terms of roster construction. Like it's just odd. It seems like there's two different agendas being pushed here.
Yeah. Agreed. It's weird. I don't really know the it's hard to tell what the plan is. Just like from the outside looking in, it's like, okay, this free agency, everything kind of is set up perfect. Like everything that the Pirates need is available to them. All it takes is to spend just a little bit of money, and they're not really doing it. The Tellez signing is just like completely underwhelming, right? It's just a big like what if, right? Like what if Tellez is like he was in 2022? Okay, then that's good value for $3.5 million or whatever. But there's just too many what ifs, and we keep saying that there's just too many what ifs right now for a team that you're expecting to actually compete next year.
Yeah,
Jim, and they can't even play a position. Like there are 4 guys on this team that can't play a position.
Who were the 4?
Well, I'm thinking McCutchen.
Well, I mean, if you say Davis, Kutch, Tellez, and Olivares,
yeah.
None of those guys can play defense.
and again, like this is
they want to be better defensively.
Think about the beginning of this rebuild and how much defensively like Charrington focused on. Like you kept seeing the moves that were made were very defensive minded. We have a good defense behind us, and then it's like as the team got better, that just went out the window.
Yeah.
Please tell us there's breaking news there, Jason.
Yeah. Pirates signed Marcus Stroman to a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
$500 million, $499 deferred.
I'm sorry. No breaking news.
All right.
Real quick, let's get a read in here from our sponsor. So today's show is sponsored by Chris Gates Fitness. Chris is a friend of the show, and he's an online fitness coach from Pittsburgh. In addition to being a massive Pittsburgh sports fan, he works with people all over town and all over the world to build muscle, burn fat, and improve their health and fitness. Chris is currently running a massive sale for one-on-one online fitness coaching. So if you're looking to make a change in 2024 with your diet, exercise routine, or establishing healthier habits, now is a great time to sign up with Chris. When you work with him, you get a fully personalized training program, nutritional strategy, and one-on-one support every single step of the way to achieve your goals. And the great thing about online coaching is you can do it on your own time from anywhere in the world, and even get more support than a traditional personal training session in the gym. Now through January 10th, you can get 75% off your first month of coaching. Just make sure you mention North Shore 9 when you apply. I've been using Chris for well over a year now. It works perfectly well with my travel routine. It's a great time of the year too to make these changes if you need to. Personally, I've lost 40 pounds thanks to Chris, so it's definitely a big help to me. So if all that sounds good to you, head over to chrisgatesfitness.com/coaching to learn more and submit your application. After you apply, Chris will reach out to you directly to talk more about your goals and what a program might look like for you. One more time, apply by January 10th and get 75% off your first month of one-on-one online fitness coaching. Mention North Shore 9 when you apply. Visit chrisgatesfitness.com/coaching to learn more. Jason, you got any New Year's resolutions?
To read more. As nerdy as that sounds, I don't like the amount that I read books, like actual reading. So I'm trying to do that. I'm reading a book right now about getting away from your phone.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do that a little bit.
Good luck, buddy.
I know, right?
You picked the
Yeah,
worst
Your
time.
phone just went off.
Dude, I do read that book and I'm like, okay, I can't, I have to disregard this part. I have to disregard that part. Yes, I can't wipe this from my phone. I need to pay attention to this. But yeah, I mean, there are habits in there that I notice myself practicing and stuff that I want to get out of, and mindlessly scrolling. Like when I do look, I want it to be purposeful. So yeah, that's kind of it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
better than
good
me.
one. Reading's always
I
good.
feel like we all could do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to read more.
Nothing
too.
profound
I
though.
agree.
I'm not trying to read. I'll just be the opposite one here. I'm not trying to read at
Yeah.
all. I have no desire to read a book.
Quick, just like a quick shift to just from like general Pirates talk real quick. I mean, it's the off season. You're a Pirates beat writer. You travel. I mean, you're traveling for basically 2/3 of the year if you count spring training, maybe 3/4 of the year, counting spring training and the regular season. It's a grind. So what's the off season like? Like, what's the difference?
Hell.
Is it almost like being a teacher?
kidding.
Like, where I mean, like, I'm curious on just like what an off season is like for a baseball beat writer.
Dude, you're gonna open up a can of worms in me. I could talk about this stuff a lot, but it's weird. I don't like the off season. I don't rest well. I guess I don't dress terribly well either. But my wife and I will talk about this a decent amount. Like,
You can start with this. I'll give you that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Marco. Good to see you. It's not my part of the store though, Denardo. No, but like, you have to calibrate your life a certain way for 8 months out of the year, right? Like, we live at a certain intensity. I do, my wife does, my kids do. Like, we just operate a certain way. And then for 4 months out of the year, you have to live completely differently, and you have to stop doing what you love. And I mean, I do love my job. I love writing. I love reporting. I love finding stories, telling stories, doing all that. And I hate when I can't do it. I don't take a lot of vacation because, like, it's not a rest for me. It's not fun. I don't feel like fulfilled if I say, like, oh, I didn't work last week. Like, no, I miss it. Like, I haven't written in a little bit, and I wrote something today, and like, I wasn't even supposed to. I just wanted to. So it's hard. It's weird. My wife and I, and Abby, she writes for the Post-Gazette. People probably know her. We talk about this where when I go on the road, she does these projects. Like, she'll rearrange our living room or build something or take something apart or pull carpet up or whatever DIY crap around the house. And so we get to this time of the year, like, I'm itching to go to Florida and she's itching for me to go to Florida and to get the heck out of here. Like, literally the other day, she said something like, I've got a whole list of projects I need to get started on that she's going to do, like, while I'm on the road. And it's like, I need this thing to start. I'm like, I know, I do too. Like, we just function better there. So it's just weird. I go to different coffee shops to work, to break up the monotony, or go into the office every so often, or work at my dining room table or an office upstairs. I try to stay busy and stay sane. But I just, I don't rest well. I don't love it.
Now that we're on this subject, I just need to ask, how good does it feel to hit better than Neil Walker in high school baseball?
I didn't hit better than Neil Walker.
You didn't? I thought you hit better than him.
I think we both hit 600.
I swear it said you hit better than him. I could be wrong.
I mean, I would imagine. I didn't calculate.
You've only shared it 17,000 times.
Right.
The newspaper
I've shared it
clippings.
with- Hang on. Let me Google it.
Google it. It's in your phone. It's your wallpaper.
Yeah.
Either way,
right
just
up.
being in the same ballpark, like
Hey, we were
batting
both,
average wise.
I know we were both 600. Neil's listed ahead of me. He had 5 more at bats and 3 more hits.
Nobody would ever hear the end of that if I were you.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty public about it. Yeah,
I would be way more public. It'd be my pin tweet Nobody would
mean,
ever hear me shut up about it.
You guys asked him, like, how can you not out hit a beat writer?
Yep.
That was absolutely tremendous. Neil and I joke
That was
about
me.
that too. Neil and I ran in a few of the same circles, but like we joke. I went to a football camp at Duquesne. I think it was my senior year, and my throwing partner for the week was Kevin McCabe. You guys remember him? It was Neil's quarterback at Pine Richland. He went to UVA and then Cal U. So we talk about McCabe sometimes, but like even throwing with McCabe, like my hands hurt. This dude threw so darn hard. Like I was nowhere close to Neil's level. You know, I was playing like AA baseball at Brentwood. It was not legit at all. Neil's playing Pine Richland, like winning Whitfield championships and being a star. But I do love that 600 right next to him. Couldn't out hit me, buddy.
That's all that matters.
I'm just so glad you shared that, because every time Neil Watts is on here, I can bring it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that you're on, and I'm on
do.
with you, we can bring it up.
Please do. Neil laughs about it. We have a good time.
I will forever.
Mackey's like, please do. Like, I'm actually begging you. Please do.
I mean, you know, I text him every night about it, so it's
It's just like a scheduled. It's like a scheduled text.
Scheduled text. I have fun tweeting about my old baseball exploits. You guys hit me with the Mohawk picture.
Yeah. I completely forgot about the Mohawk picture until today.
Until
You know
were,
what's
like,
funny?
stalking
I
me
had that
today and
picture for
found
like
that on
over
my
a year
timeline.
now.
You're probably going to use it last year when we had him on.
Yeah, I forgot. And then for some reason it came up to me. It's like, oh wait, I have this picture.
I absolutely showed that to my 5-year-old too. He's like, "What? Is that your real hair? What were you doing?" It's like, no, I had a mohawk and I played baseball at college, and those guys like photoshopped my hair away. That like this is fake, and so I had to explain that whole thing to him. But
Fake
he
news.
enjoyed
NS9 fake news.
Right.
Yeah.
it. I love it.
All right. Back to
Pirates.
Back to Pirates.
Do we have to?
Yeah,
I know,
I still
right?
want to talk about this trade
Sure.
because like there's been a lot of there hasn't been an actual person tying the Pirates to like the big name of Dylan Cease, right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chatter about like the Marlins have just like 1 billion pitchers, so it's like, you know, that just kind of makes sense, right?
Yep.
Is there? I know. You know, you're asking, hey, how are you guys going to improve the team? They're telling you, you know, we're thinking about a trade, but like, what else is there? Like, is there anything else that you're hearing about that, or like, what's going on with that?
So I can't tell you specific targets because I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I would say the Marlins would make a lot of sense. The Mariners would make a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Those are two teams that I've heard more than any in that discussion. I would not present that as isolated to those two teams either. I think, you know, you look at the White Sox and they're not in a competitive state and they might be able to be stripped for parts. I don't think you're going to go to an organization that's competitive and go take one of their best starters and get it for cheap. To me, though, I know I'm saying don't focus on these two, but the two that make the most sense are the Marlins and the Mariners. They really are, in terms of like depth that you can trade, young starters. Oscar's got a history in Seattle. Like that's a staff that I've looked at a little bit just based on who he knows there. And if they'd be able to pry one of those guys away, they very well might be able to. They seem to like guys that Oscar knows. He was the minor league pitching coordinator there for a couple of years. Logan Gilbert's the guy that like I want them to get. I'm not saying that because somebody told me like, hey, we're going to go get Logan Gilbert. Like, no. I just think it would make a lot of sense if they could. So, I mean, those are the
going to
two.
be a high asking price.
I know, right?
Logan Gilbert. Yeah,
I know. I don't think they can meet it. It's just, you'd be giving away, you know, something you would be uncomfortable giving up. I don't think it would make sense for them, but like they've got other arms. They've got other guys that would absolutely fit into the rotation. And the Marlins do too. So teams like that are sometimes willing to deal starters. I think the Pirates would be willing to have a conversation around a lot of prospects. I think they know that, you know, if you're not going to spend the money, you're going to have to give up the capital in terms of minor leaguers. That's just, you know, a matter of finding that. So I also wonder, you know, how much the Cuban kid has to do with it. this is again my own speculation. Yariel Hernandez, right?
Yariel
Right.
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. I know. Yeah, in my head it didn't sound right. Thank you. It's like if you're held up by him, like they might not want to make a move, and they might need him to make a decision first. I don't know if it's going to be the Pirates. It certainly doesn't seem like it. Seems like the Blue Jays are more out in front of that. But, maybe you don't want to pounce on something like that until you know where he stands. Again, that's me speculating. But if you're the GM of the Pirates, like, and you're trying to organize your pitching staff and your limited resources and all this stuff, like I would think you'd need that answer before you went somewhere else.
That's a dangerous game.
What's that? Being GM of the Pirates?
No, just being after Rodriguez.
I know.
And I mean, we all know he's a reliever, but some teams are seeing him as a starter. That's
I know.
Not exactly encouraging, I would say.
It's just another one of those what ifs, right? Like, what if he's a starter, right? Then you can get good value out of him. But if he's a reliever, then I think he's going to be a good pitcher.
He can't be a reliever for them, right, Jim?
I think he's got. I agree. Like, if the Pirates acquire Yariel Rodriguez, then like he's got to be a starter at least from the get go, right?
If he's not, you're burning 10% of your payroll on a reliever.
And you don't even really need a reliever based on some of the back end stuff they have. Like, that's not an area of need.
And just what I'm finding is just interesting with this whole thing is that, just reading what I have on him, there's teams out there who think he's going to sign for like a $30 or $40 million deal. Like, what if the Pirates' largest free agency deal ever?
Oh my God!
Is given to
should have just signed Eduardo at that point.
A Cuban pitcher, a 26-year-old Cuban pitcher who was a reliever, 27-year-old Cuban pitcher who was a reliever in Japan last year. Like, what if that's their largest free agency deal ever? Like, that's what we would be looking at right now.
Am I crazy to think that I'd rather see them pivot off of that? Like, I'd rather just see them close that door and be like, if you can execute a trade, just trade.
I would rather them go out there and just pay whatever it takes to get Sean Manaea.
Well, so I agree with you there. I agree with you there. Pay whatever it takes to get a few of the starting pitchers that have already been off the market.
So
one more. They need one more, and then let the rest battle out the number 5 spot.
Yep, agreed.
Actually, and I know I've talked to Nardo. I don't know if I've talked to Jim about this, but at some point when we're looking at these $10 to $20 million starting pitchers, I start to question whether it's just better off to go after those like $3 to $5 million types of guys that are super bounce back. Because at this point, those $10 to $20 million guys, it's still a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Like Lance Lynn, for example, we don't know what we're going to. Sean Manaea, don't know. Go down the line. All these guys there's a little more pedigree, I think, but compare it to Vince Velasquez last year. Yes, he got hurt, but are you really losing that much going after a Velasquez over Sean Manaea?
Yeah, so you're looking at like this year's Vince Velasquez is probably like Jacob Junis, right? Like, do you just go out there and sign Jacob Junis and hope he's an actual starting pitcher instead of a reliever? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Jacob Junis than nobody, I guess. If you're
but wouldn't you have rather have Edward Cabrera or something like that?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yes.
I mean, I'm just
saying.
I
guess that's like where I'm at too. I don't mind like the Rodriguez signing, but to me, it's like that would have been the first one. Like if that was Marco or Perez first, and then it's like, okay, we have the riskier person. Because the reason I like that signing also, we did talk about this, like with Lance Lynn. If he doesn't work out, it's not as if he's going to be good in the bullpen. You know what I mean? Like that's just
right.
That's a lost dollars right there. Whereas like if Rodriguez doesn't work out, he probably could find a position in the bullpen and be successful at it. So at least you're getting some dollars back on your contract. But yeah, like you can't make these other moves and then go after him as like the last final piece because like Jim said, it's just a bunch of what ifs. So I get what you're saying too. Like I wouldn't be opposed. They just move off that ship and go to the trade market right now. But I do have intrigue with Rodriguez.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. But I mean, if you're in the position where you're not the front runner, and that certainly seems like the intel we're getting, right? I mean, none of us are hooked up in the DR enough to know what the heck's going on there. Or I guess, where's Francis based out of? I think the DR. Whatever.
Rodriguez is Cuba, but I think he deported.
No, but Francis Romero
not
is the guy who's
deported.
been.
What's the phrase? He's not in Cuba anymore.
Defected.
Defected. There you
Yeah.
go. I think he's defected.
I was like Francis
Did you say
Romero is been the guy.
Said deported. No, I think he's defected. He deported himself. He deported himself from Cuba. How about that?
To be fair, I didn't realize it either till after you corrected yourself.
Hey, this is why we need to read more, right? This is why we're reading more in 2024.
There you go. I don't even know where we were after that. That was good. Yeah, I mean,
it is Francis Romero, by the way.
I would not mind seeing them pivot off of that and go after one of the others. You know, at least you know that other guy is a starter, can handle 32 starts. If you trade Braxton Garrett's another one I really like from the Marlins. Like if you go get Braxton Garrett, like yes, there's going to be a cost, but your fans aren't going to look at you like you're nuts. They're like, well, we got a young starter who had a good year and has projectable tools, and we gave up something to get him, and we needed pitching. So there we go. You know, I don't know. I guess they wouldn't be that mad if they signed Yariel Rodriguez. I forgot his name already.
I would take that, but again, I think any of these Marlins pitchers, I would take any of them. I mean, you got to imagine Yuri Perez is not even on the table.
Yeah,
but everybody else probably is.
Lazardo.
So, you know, I mean, Lazardo's going to cost a lot.
I know.
Can we get Marte back and trade him for him?
Yeah, right. I guess my concern with that is like, and it makes a lot of sense with the Marlins, but have we even heard any peeps that any of those people, like, are they even shopping them? Like, I haven't heard any rumors based around Marlins pitchers yet this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, we know that they've drawn trade interest. We don't know that it's from the Pirates. We don't know, you know, how aggressive they are in terms of wanting to move them. It's always a key piece, but yeah, I mean, they're certainly getting calls on them. I think that's a fair thing to say.
I think it makes sense because they have holes that they need to fill, and they've got a lot of starting pitching.
Yeah,
they are dealing from an area of strength there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one thing that breaks down for me in looking at this. Like the Pirates can offer hope, future, whatever, but I mean, Marlins went to the postseason last year. They're trying to fill some holes. Like they might find a team that can just offer more certainty in those spots.
Hey,
Yeah,
let's
maybe-
not overlook the
Well-
part where you could just not live in New York City or Miami, or people like myself don't want to live there.
Where live it? You don't want to live in Miami?
Tyler
God,
doesn't want to live where there's people. Tyler doesn't want to be around
No,
any
but-
people.
I mean, I don't
Legit-
either, but I think that I don't think players would have a huge objection to it.
Well, I mean, AJ Burnett didn't want to live in New York anymore.
Yeah.
There are people out there that, like, maybe that's what we need. We need a realtor to do this for us.
We need more Vandy boys.
Yeah.
I love the quote unquote AJ Burnett type though. You get that a lot. Like they need to get an AJ Burnett type.
Yeah, there's not many
well,
like that fella.
Yeah, I was
AJ
gonna
Burnett
say,
didn't
like,
work out though.
Yeah, there's 24 of him going around
Right.
Major League Baseball,
Yeah,
right?
there's not a whole
Yeah.
lot.
Every 50 years.
You know
Yeah.
what they should have done is they should have just extended Garrett Cole.
They should trade for Garrett Cole. How about that?
What about Jameson?
I wonder what a trade for Garrett Cole would look like right now.
Oh my God.
Well, I want to bring that part up then, because like you
Trading for
talked
Garrett
about.
Cole? You want to bring that up?
Well, okay, not that specifically, but trading, right? Because you talked about, and I agree, like the pitching market, the pricing of these pitchers, you're not used to seeing, right? But that's what the cost of business is right now. But with that being said, don't you think like teams are looking at this and saying, well, you know what? The cost of this trade was only going to be this, but now with the price of the pitching right now, it's going to cost you more in prospect capital. Like, are you maybe hearing that or seeing that, or is that like a possibility also? Like it's going to cost Pirates more than they even want to give up in prospect capital to make a trade?
I don't know. I don't know how the asks have, like, I think what you're curious of, and it's a good point. Like how the asks have run tantamount with the free agent market. I mean, I'd imagine that if you're the Marlins and you're peddling what they are, you can ask a pretty high price.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
can be stubborn. You don't really have to trade. If you have young pitching, I mean, it's such a commodity. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine the asks are probably fairly high. I don't know what the asks would be of the Pirates. If you're the Marlins, like what do you say to the Pirates that you want for one of these guys? Like, I question whether, if I'm the Marlins and I'm going to give up one of these young starters, am I okay giving them up for Liover Peguero, Nick Gonzalez, and Thomas Harrington or something like that? I don't know. I mean, I might ask for Tamar Johnson. I might ask for Paul Skeens. I mean, get crazy. I mean, they're not going to trade those guys. Of course not. But, that might be like, well, that's the only condition I'm going to trade him for. I don't really have to trade him. You always need pitching. Like, the worst thing that can happen. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any great intel on whether that's driven up the trade market, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I think the
guess
issue
that-
with the
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Tyler.
Sorry.
I was
No,
saying,
you're
I think the issue with the two teams that make the most sense, like you mentioned, the Marlins and the Mariners, is that those aren't like rebuilding teams. Like those are teams
Right.
that are looking to win in 2024. So if they're trading away from one of their areas of strength, they're going to look for a return in one of their areas of weakness, right? So that means like major league talent that you've got to send back to them.
Right.
And I think that's where the Pirates just, they don't have, the Pirates have no area of strength to deal from right now.
Right.
Like you look at their roster and like what the Marlins could really use right now is probably Jack Sawinski. Like Jack Sawinski would make a ton of sense for the Marlins. They would love to have him, right? But like,
Would you do it?
where are the Pirates at then if you're dealing Jack Sawinski? I mean, would you trade Jack Sawinski for Edward Cabrera? Like if that's the question, then it's
I would
probably because you can.
I like Jack Sawinski a lot, but I would do it.
Yeah, because like you desperately need pitching right now.
Yeah.
And it's easier. It's just easier to find like an outfielder with power. Like they're everywhere. The free agency market is just littered with them. You can just pick them up, but you just got to spend $8 to $10 million, right? So I think that's kind of what is interesting about this is if they're going to do a trade with one of those two teams, you're going to have to trade major league talent. They're not going to take just prospects. That's not what they're looking for. Now, a team like the White Sox is going to be different, right? The White Sox are going to say, you know what, we'll take all your prospects. The Royals would have been a team who I would have said they would have taken all their prospects, but now we just saw the Royals spend $110 million in free agency this winter, and then so it's like, what are they up to? But so it's a weird market. I think a trade is definitely like the best way to go. Like you've acquired all this prospect capital over the last 5 years,
which has died.
But like you got to do something with it. Like there's no need there's no reason why like when Fangraphs does their top prospect list and they list everybody with over a 35 future value or whatever, like the Pirates list has like 80 guys on it, right? And every other team has like 40, right? So like you have all these guys, like you got to use them somehow. But it's just finding a partner that it works for. And it's just like the Marlins just aren't. They're not that team. They're not looking for those guys.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but if it takes Jack Sawinski to get Edward Cabrera, I would do it. And I've been one of the biggest Jack Sawinski backers, I feel like, in this town. Like, I'm a big Jack Sawinski fan. I like him as a person. I think he's going to be a tremendous player, but man, they just need pitching. And you're absolutely right, Jim.
Yeah. I mean, he's frustrating, but he's put up good numbers year in, year out. He's young. I mean, his projections look good. But
there are only so many things they could trade, right? Like, are you going to trade Key Brian Hayes? Are you going to trade Sawinski? Are you going to trade Reynolds?
Yeah, like I think the only guy who I'd be like super comfortable trading is Colin Holderman. Like I feel like that's a guy who you can deal.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not going to carry a trade, I wouldn't think.
I don't think it'll carry it, but I think he's a really good piece that teams would like to have, especially like competing teams. But, But again, like I don't know if you can afford to really give up too much major league talent unless you're getting something really good back in return.
Jason,
Yeah.
what would Jim Rutherford do with Colin Holderman?
I tell you what, Jim would pull the trigger on a trade in this
Oh, yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
He would pull the trigger on a
He'd
trade
rip
because
it.
it's a day that ends in Y. I
He'd
swear,
rip
Jim
that
would
trade.
I swear Jim would just get up in the morning and say, like, I'm going to make a trade for somebody. I don't know who.
Just start calling people. Hey, who do you want?
Man, my career, I think about this sometimes. I went from like the world's most old school, chatty, trade everyone, reactionary GM to the most cautious, buttoned up, like careful about what he says to anybody GM in Chariton. I've like the two extremes. So yeah, Jim would probably just make like 17 trades, and Jack Johnson would
I actually
playing for the Pirates.
My man.
I do kind of want Jim Rutherford to take over as GM here, but that's besides the point.
Jimbo
Just-
would love it. He's a huge baseball guy, by the way.
Just for some fun, like just rip it. Just wheel and deal, baby.
Let's just make it happen.
But with the Pirates in the position they're in and the free agent market being how it is with starting pitching, is there a guy in the organization that you feel like they are more confident in if they weren't able to get something done here?
You mean like somebody they're going to come up and fill a spot internally?
That's already in here, this organization, that we're okay as our fifth guy.
Or fourth guy, for that matter.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
this is kind of a cop out, but
Could have
Skeens.
been the third guy.
Yeah. Paul Skeens.
I actually didn't think you would say Skeens. I thought you might go Falter or Priester.
Well, I mean, I feel like Skeens is the most obvious one that I shouldn't miss,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying that thinking like he's going to be.
I
in
guess
the
more
opening day
like, I guess
rotation.
my question would be more like opening day, who we'd be looking
Yeah,
at
I mean,
in the rotation that they might feel little more comfortable with if they can't find somebody.
Connor Williams just made a comment about Paul Blackburn, and I tend to agree with him. I would not have anything against that, but yes, to Priester would be one, Ortiz would be one, Rowanzi would be one. I think they are perfectly comfortable going to spring training and having those guys, at least one of them, emerge and earn a spot. I think there would be concern, understandable concern, if you're looking to, we need two of those guys to pan out, like in spring training. That would be a little scary. Beyond that, like I think they expect to get something from Jared Jones at the major league level this year. I think that's fair. You could probably keep going. Anthony Solometo, like, is he going to make his MLB debut this year? Probably. I just don't know how much you can immediately expect from him. So yeah, I mean, they have got Max Kranick is another one that, like, I'm not going to present that and make everybody feel better, but could he offer something to the major league club? Sure. Like, he's probably kind of a tweener piggyback type, but he might be able to work through the order one time, maybe two times, give them something. I think they're higher on Bailey Falter than a lot of us are. Frankly, I did not see it. I don't see why he would make regular starts, but where were we at? Maybe the winter meetings, something. There was one recent conversation with Charrington where he brought up Bailey Falter as being an important part of the pitching staff, unprompted. And I was
He
like,
loves them.
it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
I mean,
where that
Yeah.
kind of made me think that is not something that I had sketched out, but like, he's not saying that for no reason. So yeah, I mean, Falter is somebody I think they expect to be a part of this in some form or fashion. Again, I do think they're going to stick with non-traditional pitching deployment and, use guys one time through, two times through, get certain matchups or whatever, which is probably going to drive some people crazy. I understand
God,
it.
I hate that.
I
hate
know.
it.
I know. Don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, I mean, Falter would be one. I think they need to. I've been saying this for a few months now. I mean, between Rowanzi, Ortiz, and Priester, like, they have to have one. Two would be really good. None would be unacceptable. And I don't think 3 out of 3 panning out is likely. But, they have to get some of those guys to figure it out.
So speaking of non-traditional pitchers, the Pirates seem to have a plethora, 3 in total, that said, see you later, we're going to Japan. The most recent one was Andre Jackson. And I just bring this up because maybe you're hearing something or whatnot, because he intrigued me. And yes, I'm using the word intrigue again, guys, because that was my word for Andre Jackson last year, intrigue. I mean, I didn't think he was a starter, but you look at his numbers, like one time through the order, maybe being like an opener or a reliever. I thought he really had like a spot here on a Major League Baseball team in Pittsburgh. And, he decided to go to Japan. They allowed him to do so. Like, was there something with that? Like, was he just really not part of that going forward? Or I don't know. Did he just want to be there instead?
Yeah, I think Andre probably looks at it. And I haven't had a conversation with Andre since I think the Pirates designated him. I saw our man Ethan asking about this earlier.
Yes.
It made me question it. But since he and the Pirates parted ways, however that happened, I have not talked to him. My guess with Andre, based on what he wanted to do while he was in Pittsburgh, was start and have more of an opportunity. I think they probably viewed him as like a reliever, middle type. He's a smart guy too. I really like dealing with him. And I mean, if you want to get your career sort of back on track, I mean, maybe just figure that was a better option. Like if he's going to get regular starts and a chance to show what he can do as a starter versus, get used in these funky roles out of the bullpen that is more team serving. Maybe just said like, hey, I don't want to do this. This is what I want to do. Can we agree to sort of allow me to move on? I mean, that's my theory on how it went down, that like his goals for him were a little bit different than the Pirates' goals for him.
So maybe more of like, hey, I have a ceiling here of being a reliever, which I'm in the major leagues, but I'm basically a reliever for the rest of my career till whenever. Or maybe I become Eric Fetty and re-enter and get a big time contract, get paid.
I mean, I think that's take a step back to take 2 steps forward or whatever. I think that's more what he was going for than like the Pirates, suddenly didn't want him or have any use for him. Like, I just think that what they viewed him as was less than what he thought he could do.
Does make sense though. Like the guy had a just unreal changeup. The stuff plays, and like maybe he takes that Miles Mikolas route and comes back, gets a big deal.
There could be a real good pitcher in there,
just
man.
A normal deal. Like there's something there, which is why I think we were all I'm going to use the podcast term, intrigued.
Intrigued.
We were intrigued with him for sure. But yeah, there's something there with him, which I think is why we bring up him leaving.
Yeah.
Because there was something with him.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you look at a guy like Eric Fetty, right, who was bad. Like he was a bad major league pitcher. Like there was no doubt about that. Like, and then he goes to Japan, has 1 year there, puts up monster numbers, and then he comes back and he's 15 million guaranteed, right? So yeah, I mean it's an interesting move. Him and Thomas Hatch also doing, the same thing. It's kind of crazy that you have a team like the Pirates with so many pitching opportunities right now, and you've got players who are like just bouncing for Japan. But
yeah,
I guess if you have confidence in yourself, if you think you're a starting pitcher and you see what Eric Fetty did, and you're like, you know what, I'm at least as good as Eric Fetty, then I guess you got to try it, right?
You could always come back theoretically.
True.
To like a bit part reliever kind of somebody. If you're good enough, like somebody will sign you to a minor league deal, you would think, and you could sort of pitch your way into a relief role. I don't know. I'm trying to think through it positively, but yeah, I mostly agree with you.
And you got to think he's getting guaranteed money in Japan. Like he's probably getting at least $1 million, which is more than he would have gotten here.
Very true.
And you're not in the bullpen.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. I can't imagine he would sign a deal over there to go pitch out of the bullpen. Like he's got to be getting regular starts.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually probably would do the same thing now that I think about it.
Yeah,
I'm shocked you're not doing it.
How would you do?
I
Japan,
probably could,
Tyler. How would you? Maybe you would actually really like it because you wouldn't. No one would be able to understand what you're saying.
Correct.
You wouldn't be able to understand what
love
anybody else is saying. You just
love that.
Like, just live in just a tunnel. Just have tunnel vision your whole life.
Also, I'm left-handed. I got a nasty.
I meant more from like a personal standpoint. Like you'd probably.
Oh, I'd love.
You'd probably love it.
Yeah, but
no one could talk to you. You couldn't talk to anybody.
Be great. You know how much sushi I'd eat?
They're way too nice for Tyler though over there.
Like hibachi's a thing. I don't know if it's a thing in Japan, but it's a thing here.
I would imagine it's a thing in Japan.
I don't know. I didn't know if we Americanized it.
Yeah.
trying to be respectful here, Jim. Sorry, I'm not world traveled like some of you folks.
I mean, I've never been to Japan, but I would imagine they have hibachi. Yes.
Saki? Someone mentioned that. I'm in. Let's go. Sign me to. I'll go coach him. I can't play anymore because I'm old. Yeah, I'm in. Andre Jackson, me and you, baby.
Jackson Sweeney.
You two could piggyback
Love
start. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Give me an inning. That's what I got.
Well, I did want to stick to pitching here as well, because again, we're talking about pricing of pitching and how extreme and high it's going. And I think there's something, it might not be acquiring a pitcher that a lot of people are looking forward to this year, but extending one in Mitch Keller. So we're in this offseason. I think a lot of people were expecting it, and now we're seeing the price of pitching. Is there any latest news you have on a Mitch Keller extension? Is it close? Is it even going to get done? Or hell, is there no hope in that? And the Pirates are saying we're going to trade Mitch Keller with the pricing of pitching also right
They
now.
can't trade Mitch. No.
Don't bet against
come on. They have 3 starters. They're going to trade one of the starters that they do have.
They got to rebuild. Another 5-year rebuild. In the books.
Boy. Don't do that to me. I've gotten no indication that they're close on an extension, which is disappointing. We went into the offseason. I think there was some optimism from the Pirates side of things that they could get something done, probably from the Keller side as well. From what I understand, during the season, they had some fairly productive dialogue. At one point, it got pretty darn close to getting done. And they sort of thought, we can revisit this in the offseason and get something done. And I don't know whether that's, it sort of manifested itself in what the free agent pitching market was, how Mitch finished, a reestablished value on his end. I'm not saying it can't get done, but it would shock me a little bit at this point if they did it. I felt like, probably December was more of a time to come through with that. Where the Pirates are at with needing to still add to the team, add some more pitching, the uncertainty with the TV deal, whatever, they do seem a little bit more hesitant to spend money. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that's just a slice in time and there's some spending on the other side of this, but doesn't seem to be the same optimism surrounding a Keller extension as we had back in October.
Just based on your brain, do you have any idea? You don't have to give us any information, but what the extension would look like, just a roundabout where
I don't. And
because he's a weird case.
He is very weird. 80 over 5. Does that make sense? 16 per.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Now, granted, after this free agent market, I don't know if it does anymore, but
yeah. I think that might have been a top end number, like too far to go, something like that.
I mean, you figure like Eduardo Rodriguez got 4 over 80, and that was all free agent years. You know what I mean? So like, I could see 580 probably be on top end. Would I do it? Sure. And like Tyler's saying, especially right now, the way the pitching market is, I mean, you're getting guys that are lesser for $15 million a year. So I mean, like I don't hate that. That's probably what the number is right now, though. If that was like a top end, then.
So just to kind of tell you what Zip says. So Dan Zimborski wrote an article about this last year. He said a fair 6-year deal right now would look like $116 million.
Yeah.
6-year deal right now. If he were a free agent, his projected offer would be 6,153 or 7,171.
Yeah. So he ain't signed anything for 680.
So like I
still like
that's a lot of money for Mitch Keller.
I don't know.
But like you look at what these pitchers are getting though.
It is.
Yeah, I mean Frankie Montas is getting what 16.
Yeah,
I know, but that's over a much shorter period of time.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I mean,
but
I'm going to have to recalibrate my brain,
Yeah.
I think, so that this is what the new market is.
Starting pitching
Wild,
costs
man.
money. Yeah.
I'm still
Um,
stuck on 3 for 39 for Frankie
Right.
Liriano.
Yeah, we're still stuck on that. Now, I will say this: like, I think a Mitch Keller extension, especially with how, like, look at this offseason. Like, the Pirates desperately need starting pitching, and if you can just write Mitch Keller's name in pen into your rotation for the next 5 or 6 years, there's a ton of value in that.
Yeah.
And you need to be willing to spend money in order to do that.
And that's the other problem, though, is that they're in a position right now where they have to keep him. Whereas if they're in this weird middle period that we've discussed a bunch of times, if they're actually not going to be good this year, Mitch Keller is the trade chip.
Yeah, but that's a hard sell, man.
It is, but
That's a
I
hard
guess you could
sell.
say if
you are
Roansy, Contreras,
David Bednar
Luis
and Mitch
Ortiz,
Keller
and
are the
Quinn
guys.
Priester, if all of those young pitchers panned out, then maybe Keller is expendable, right? Like maybe Keller is this team's Edward Cabrera, right?
Yeah.
If Priester and Contreras and Ortiz, if all those guys hit, then you're like, we have a ton of starting pitching now, right? Mitch Keller, he's a free agent in 2 years. He's really good. He can probably fetch us a huge return. He can fill some holes that we have. But yeah, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
They're just at a fork in the road that I don't know that they know they're at.
Yeah. I mean, what they need to me is to not do anything drastic right now. I mean, help is on the way. They should have Skeens, Solometo, Chandler, Jones, Harrington, other guys that I'm not mentioning. Like, they've got some decent arms coming. It's just Burrow's coming back, Brubaker coming back. They need something to help them. What's that?
I just always forget about Brubaker.
Yeah, I mean, they just need something to get to that point where those guys start to come up and guys start to come back. And I mean, I'd like to see them extend Mitch, certainly, but it may be a different conversation if they don't do anything and we revisit this in June and all of a sudden they've got several arms. Exactly what Jim is saying about, he may be the Pirates' Edward Cabrera. I don't know. It just may look different. There may be less of an urgency. So, I mean, if you can't get him done for your number right now, I mean, I guess I sort of get it. He's not going anywhere. At least not until after 2025. I think he's ARB 2 this year.
Yep.
So I mean, you got him a little bit longer, I guess. I don't love it. I mean, I still lean toward like you need to spend money, extend guys, keep your best players here, especially when you need starting pitching. You need to pay your starting pitcher. You need to find a way to get it done, but there are other ways around it, I suppose.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
We definitely talked Pirates because we're an hour 13 in and we're all depressed.
Yep.
And I had one more question for you.
Does it have to be about the Pirates?
It does, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a wet blanket on this whole thing. But let's just say this year the Pirates went under 70 games.
Yeah.
How much longer in your estimation
Under 70?
has Ben Sherrington get? Under 70. How much longer has Ben Sherrington get? Because I think we all understand he'll be here next year. Like, I don't think we question that. How much longer does he get on that leash?
Another year? I don't know.
I'm sure it hasn't really been discussed much, but
yeah, because I mean, it's not just a win total. It would be how the farm system looks, how guys are developing, how you get to, if they're at 67 wins. I mean, if some of your major league talent sucks, but you've got young guys on the way and like they've got this really sharp farm system. I don't know. Yeah,
I also don't think like that's like this team is not that bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, they don't want to launch into another rebuilding plan. I really don't think that. I think their heels are dug in that this one is working. So I don't think they're going to be in a hurry to pivot off of that. I think the manager would get swapped out a heck of a lot earlier than Cherington.
That makes sense. And he just got an extension. So,
yeah.
No one knows how long it was for, though.
True.
Right? Yeah.
No, nor
Or how
will we
long
ever.
Ben's even here for.
Last
Yeah.
question. This is more doom and gloom, and I guess we can throw Clevenger's name in here too. Is Bauer an absolute no discussion? What have we heard about like Clevenger, Bauer, like guys with extreme character issues?
I've checked on the Bauer stuff before, and that's always been a no-fly zone for the Pirates. They've not been interested. Again, that hasn't been for a few months, but I don't believe, based on what has really changed in Trevor's situation in that time. What you're getting into. I guess maybe what has changed is they didn't land some of the starting pitching they want, so everybody has a price. I don't know, but I think they'd probably hedge their bets with the young guys and what they have before they go bring on the Trevor Bauer show. I think they're aware enough of how that would be perceived by fans. And I mean, this is just a personal philosophy on that. Like, I think Trevor Bauer would be best served going to a team where you can bury him, where there's going to be another draw, something else to focus on, hopefully winning, better players surrounding him. Like Pittsburgh, it's just, if you're going to lose, and then like that's going to be the thing that people come out and talk about, and he's going to have to handle himself in a losing clubhouse with young kids. That I don't know. I don't see a match there.
You're the Cincinnati Bengals at that point.
Yeah,
Browns right now. Although they're actually winning.
Like I'm thinking like Vontaze Perfect and things like that,
Yeah.
but like Bauer's a different case. Yeah.
He's just an odd cat. Like, take the whole like personal life out of it. Like, if that was a non-factor, like I think the Pirates are kind of into like, this is what we do, and this is how we work with guys, and this is our program and our pitching philosophy. Like, if someone came in here and just had a total disregard for that, like how that would go, I don't know. I feel like they would prefer having good soldiers as opposed to someone who's kind of, marches to the beat of his own drum the way Bauer seems to.
That's true. We saw what happened to Nunnally.
Don't go helping keep Brian Hayes. We're going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
It's an odd one, huh?
Well, then how about this? We will ask you one more question, not
Okay.
Pirates related.
All
This comes from Kenny. So, as a deadhead, what is your favorite bird song? Pacific Coliseum, 73, or 72 Spectrum?
Do I have to pick one of those two, Kenny? I guess I do. I think I'd go.
No, you don't have to pick. You
73.
can.
No?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
I think I'd go the Branford Marsalis cameo from 90 at Nassau Coliseum.
There it
And
is.
only deadheads would actually know that. You guys probably looking at me like I'm insane, but that's
no idea what you're talking about.
Kenny would know what you're talking about, though.
Absolutely not.
Kenny's got it.
Yeah.
Kenny
Kenny's
knows
got
the exact show that I'm talking about. Then, well, yeah, little Sunshine Daydream. Kenny, I'm still going. I like it. Okay, still
There you
going
go.
Nassau. Can't turn down Bradford. Thank you, guys. I appreciate
there it is.
being able
No
to
problem.
end
Yeah,
on
that was a
Grateful
good
Dead
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
Got to try to stay sane, if at all possible, in this part of the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's closing time, so we
Yeah.
might get out of here.
All
But
right.
no, for real, anything else you guys had? Jason, anything you want to bring up?
I think we're good. My bourbon's gone, so
Yeah, I got to
Ready
go.
to-
My
ready to
Busch
go.
Light's gone.
Well, as always, appreciate you being on, having
Yeah.
you.
yeah. Thanks,
Always a
Jason.
pleasure, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for making
Everyone
me
for watching.
Thank you for all you do. It's awesome.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Peace out,
See you all.
guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.